Hello everyone, welcome to another Starships Combat. Let me get the void out of the way. Welcome to another Starships Encounter example. Hopefully this one will be with less mistakes, fingers crossed. It should be a little bit simpler despite the fact that we're using capital ships. So we have a Venator-class Star Destroyer up top versus an Executor-class Star Dreadnought at the bottom. So the background for this is the Executor's crew has just recently been essentially transferred to the command of Admiral Piet after the Hoth incident. So it's been a couple of months since then, and in concern that the crew might potentially getting complacent or stagnating, they're doing a training exercise essentially against this old rundown capital ship. So let's go over what we've got. So for Piet himself, I've made him a rank 2 coordinator, and I've essentially statted him out as if he were a level 9 scholar. The reason specifically for this is I wanted the +4 proficiency bonus, because that's what's going to comply with what the Executor has. It has the +4 NPC crew proficiency. So that'll keep the numbers nice and easy. So what he has, he's a rank 2 coordinator. For his collaborations, I chose battle stations, insight, and watch out. So battle stations, if you're surprised at the start of combat and aren't incapacitated, you can expend 1 power die to act normally. Additionally, on your first turn in combat, as a bonus action, you can choose a number of creatures equal to the amount rolled on the power die who can see or hear you to act normally on their first turn. Insight, on your turn, you can use an action and expend 1 power die to bolster the resolve of a crew on your or an allied ship who can see or hear you. So in this case, it's just going to be the Executor. The allied ship can add your ship's charisma modifier to a number of damage rolls they make until the start of your next turn, equal to the number rolled on the die. And we have watch out. When a friendly ship, including your own, who can see or hear you, makes a saving throw, you can use your reaction to expend a power die, adding the number rolled to the result of the saving throw. You can use this collaboration before or after making the saving throw, but before any effects of the saving throw are determined. Now we get to the actual features. So, Uplifting Directive. When you take the direct action, roll a d20. Note the number on the d20, it becomes your Uplifting Directive number. When you have an Uplifting Directive number, when an ally makes an ability check or attack roll affected by your direct action, you can replace the result of the d20 roll with the value of the Uplifting Directive roll. You can use this feature before or after making the roll. Spell that. But before any effects of the roll are determined, you can only have 1 Uplifting Directive roll at a time, and you lose any unused Uplifting Directive rolls when you complete a short or long rest. Inspiring Display. Also second rank, you can inspire others through stirring words. Basically this we're not going to get to use, unfortunately, because we need to spend a minute rallying our allies by giving them a speech. So for the ventures, I chose Resourceful Display. Once per round, when you or an ally with your Inspiring Display die rolls an Inspiring Display, they can roll the die twice and take either result. So unfortunately, this isn't going to get used. And then Tactical Superiority. When you expend a power die, roll the die as normal, but you can instead subtract it from your pool of superiority dice. So we'll probably get good use of that. And I originally was going to have Piet be a rank 3 coordinator, but I decided that's probably a bit too many features and things to try to cram into one example. Alright, so that's Piet. So let's take a look at the Executor. So the Executor is a gargantuan ship. She's tier 3. So since she's a gargantuan ship and we're playing on a grid, she takes up 16 squares. Armor class of 9, damage reduction of 8, 315 hull points, 422 shield points, regens 13 shields. It's because of fortress shields. Otherwise, it would be 20 regen with deflection and 30, I think, with quick charge. Flying speed 200 feet, turning speed 550 feet. So she turns slow. Stats: 20 strength, 4 dex, 24 con, 14 int, 16 whiz, 16 charisma. Saving throws, proficiencies in strength, con, wisdom, and charisma. Blind sight 1,000 feet, passive scan of 21, max fire of 15. And we got a whole bunch of mods here that we can use. I didn't even include them all. And of course our tier features. But for weapons, we've got laser cannon point defense, which probably isn't going to get used in this encounter. We've got ion batteries, one to the port side, one to the front, and one starboard. We've got turbo laser batteries, 8 in total, 3 port, 3 starboard, and then one that can face port in front, one that can face starboard in front. Heavy turbo laser batteries, again, 8 batteries, same orientation. Assault missile launcher with concussion missiles, 1 port, 1 front, and 1 starboard. And we have the super weapon, which I'm going to say is facing front facing. Because we are a huge or larger ship, we use the second pool of weapons, which mostly has secondary weapons. So the thing about secondary weapons is if the target is within the first number, you roll with disadvantage, and if they're in between the first and second number, you roll the attack normally. So these weapons are good at engaging targets that are farther away. That's their specialty, but they suffer when targets get too close to them. And you can't attack a target beyond the second number. But our 2 ships in this case are plenty close enough. Oops. Yeah, plenty close enough. Within 2,000 feet. So both of these ships are going to be within range of each other. They're not really going to have to move at all. So for the Executor, she is going to have, because her max fire is 15, she is going to be able to take 20 actions on her turn. Obviously, I'm not going to take all 20. I'm just going to skip the gunners that don't get to act. And I'm probably going to skip like other things too, like the pilot and things. What you would end up using those extra turns for is you could use them for things like boost weapons, boost shields, boost engines, regenerate shields, patch, things like that. And Piet is going to be using the direct action a bunch, since he's the coordinator for one, and he's going to be in the command center. And when a crew in the command center takes the direct action, they can target an additional ally. So you can target 2 people with it. And direct, if you're not familiar, direct does this. One creature you can see or hear, you gains advantage on the next ability check it makes to perform the task you're helping with, provided it makes the check before the start of your next turn. Alternatively, you can direct a friendly creature that can hear you when attacking another target. If your ally attacks the target before the start of your next turn, the first attack roll is made with disadvantage, or with advantage. The direct action can be taken multiple times on a ship's turn. So we'll be making good use of that. Now let's go over what the Venator's got. So the Venator is a huge ship, tier 2. Huge ships take up 8 squares, so I did 2x4. The Venator perfectly fits in that too. Armor class of 10, damage reduction of 3, hit points 122, shield points 122, regen of 12, 13 hull and shield dice, speed 300 feet, fly 250 feet. Or 300 feet flying speed, 250 feet turning speed. Stats, 14 strength, 8 dex, 15 con, 16 int, 12 whiz, and 16 charisma. Saving throws and strength and wisdom. 1,000 feet of blind sight. Passive scan of 17, max fire of 4, so the Venator is going to be able to take 9 actions on its turn. And we've only got a handful of mods that really matter for the Venator in terms of its combat capability. It's got a laser cannon point defense as well. For its other weapons, it's got double turbo laser batteries. It's got 4 that can face port or front, and 4 that can face starboard or front. So you'll notice right off the bat that we got more weapons than we do actual max fire actions. The Executor has the same thing. We have twin turbo laser batteries, 1 port and 1 starboard. And we have assault torpedo launchers, armed with proton torpedoes, 1 facing port, 2 facing front, 1 facing starboard. So, without further ado, let's get these ships ready. Let's get our handy dandy initiative counter ready. So instead of actually rolling, you can just determine your ship's initiative order by just starting with the number here and then adding your dex to it. So why don't we do that instead? So for huge, it's a 6, and for gargantuan, it's a 5. So our Venator's dexterity was 0, I believe, or no, it was 8, so it's a -1. So our Venator is going to have initiative 5. Cool, and I literally can't because the token is so far up. Actually, I think this is going to result in a tie because the Executor has... Oh no, well, the Executor's got -3. So the Executor's going to have an initiative of 2. So it's going second. Now, I will say, under no circumstances should this Venator be trying to engage this Executor one-on-one. It should be trying to get out of there, but for the sake of this example, these two are going to fight, and I'm not going to include their fighters because the both of them carry an absolutely absurd amount of fighters, and I am not going to deal with that. You saw how much of a hard time I had with just 6 in the last example. Alright, so the Venator's going to go first. It doesn't really need to move anywhere. As far as its weapons, what is going to be the most optimal? So we have 4. We can do 4 double turbo laser battery attacks because we are well within 3,200 feet, and we're outside of 800 feet, which is good. We could launch a proton torpedo. This is going to have disadvantage to hit because we're further than 1,200 feet away. That said, if we do hit, we're going to deal... well, regardless, it's going to deal damage, but it's more importantly, it's going to bypass the Executor's damage reduction. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to fire 1 assault... we're going to fire 1 proton torpedo at the Executor. So the Executor is going to have to make a dexterity saving throw with advantage, which we can do just fine. Alright, so the Executor has to make a dexterity saving throw, which it sucks at. However, we are going to make use of the threat tracker mod. When the Executor would make a dex save, she can instead make a wisdom saving throw. So we're going to do that because our wisdom score is actually pretty good. And we're going to make it with advantage. Alright, good. So with advantage, we got a 26. That's an easy pass because the DC on this was only 12. So we're going to roll 40-10 energy damage from the Venator. Wow, that's actually a really good roll from the Venator. So 25 gets cut in half because the Executor succeeded on her saving throw. So that gets cut down to 12.5, which gets rounded down to 12. And that 12 damage bypasses the Executor's damage reduction. So now we're down to 410 shields on the Executor. And as 1 max fire action, we can make 3 more weapon attacks with the Venator. So we'll make 3 double turbo laser battery attacks. That's 1. That's a miss. 2 is a hit. Very nice, 20 energy. And then 3 is also a miss. Not rolling very well. So this was, yeah, it's 10 plus 4. As for the damage, oh, the damage actually rolled really well. Alright, so 20 energy damage. And the Executor has a damage reduction of 8, so that's going to get cut down to 12. And I'm going to have the Venator end its turn here for simplicity's sake. Now we go on to the Executor. The Executor, I expect, is going to absolutely shred the Venator within a round or 2. So the Executor's weapon arrangement... It'd probably be easier to explain looking at this. So with the way the Executor's weapons are arranged, it can use a total of, let's see, 4, 8, 9, 10 weapons on the port or starboard side, which is basically how you would want to use this. What I'm going to do with the Executor is I'm going to have it fire some of its front-facing weapons, and then I'm going to turn it so it can use more of its side-facing weapons. So what this will do for us in practice is we'll get to fire the 1 port and front gun from the turbo lasers and the heavy turbo lasers, so that's 2. We'll get to fire the 1 front-facing ion battery and assault missile launcher, so that's up to 4. And then we fire the 4 side turbo lasers, the 4 heavy turbo lasers, and then the side ion battery missile launchers. So that's another 10. So that's going to be 14 out of our 15 max fire value. Drake, you need to add more guns to the Executor. It doesn't have enough. Which is funny to say because I believe Drake told me that when he was making the Executor, he basically consolidated 250 guns down into a single battery. Alright. So let's do this carefully. And let's see, do I want to use Piet here? We will save the direct actions for the heavy turbo laser batteries because these are the ones that I really want to have hit. The assault missile launcher is probably going to miss. There's not a lot I can do about that. But I really want the heavy turbos to hit. So we're going to have Piet use the direct action, and he gets to target 2 creatures thanks to the benefits of our command center, which is nice. And can we use anything here that would be helpful? I could have used this, but this wasn't actually necessary. Alright, so we took the direct action, so we got to roll a d20. That's the one thing we do need to do. Alright, so now that I got all this pulled out, let's roll 1d20 for Piet. And that's it. Ugh, a nat 1. I don't think we're going to be using that. We might, though. Let's see. It becomes the uplifting directive number when an ally makes an ability check or attack roll affected by it. Yeah, no, because this is for allies. We are absolutely not going to be using this uplifting directive number, so I think we're stuck with it. Unless we get to replace it next turn. I think we can. I'm going to assume that we can, because a nat 1 is not going to help anyone. Roll 20, please. Just, I want this to be a certain size. Thank you. Alright. So unfortunately that part of the direct action was a bust. But we will still get the advantage, at least, on 2 of the attack rolls. So let's go down the list and see what we have. I guess the first thing I'll do is I'll do missile attack. Make sure that we're within 2,400 feet, which we are. So the Venator is going to have advantage on this saving throw, which is fine. So we'll make 1 missile attack. And it's stuck with Dex. It does have a threat tracker, so we'll use it here. Whoops. There we go. So she passes. So she doesn't take any damage from the rapid mode concussion missiles, because the way rapid works is you either hit or you miss. There's no half damage like with normal tertiary weapon attacks. Alright, and then we will hit with the front ion batteries, or try to anyways. That is a natural... Oh, we get both effects. So this works out real great. So we got a natural 20 with this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do damage, which was a lot. It was a lot of damage. So that is a whopping 38 points of ion damage. And the Venator is only going to be able to resist 3 of that, so that gets cut down to 35. Now, so the ion weapons have a property called ionized. So on a hit, the target has to succeed on a DC 13 Constitution save or be ionized for 1 minute. So what ionized does, if we go to our appendix, is an ionized starship has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. And this will probably be something I'll spend the Venator's extra actions to get rid of. So a crew member can take their action to have their ship repeat the saving throw, ending the effects on a success. Ships larger than yours have advantage on the saving throw. But we got a critical hit, so we activated stunning rounds. So stunning rounds, when you score a critical hit with this weapon, you can force the target to make a DC 17 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the target is stunned until the start of your next turn. If the target is smaller than your ship, it has disadvantage on the saving throw. So we're going to use that absolutely, because the Venator might not get another turn if it fails this. So first off, we'll do the DC 13 save for ionization, or ionizing. Poor Venator. Alright, so the Venator failed that. So it is ionized for 1 minute. Is there anything that would... I guess we'll use that for ionized, which you can't really even see. You can barely even see that marker. And now let's have it do the stun check. It passes, which is unfortunate. I don't think there's anything the Executor can do to change that fact. Nope, doesn't look like it. Well, that's unfortunate. It's fortunate for the Venator. He's going to get to last another turn, but he's ionized at least. Alright. So we made an attack with one of the missiles. We made an attack with one of the front ion batteries. So the front missiles, front ion batteries. We're going to use the left and front heavy turbo laser battery next. And this one I'm going to give advantage. This is one of the ones we're going to give advantage to. 18, so that's a hit. Roll damage. 19 points of energy damage. Venator's damage reduction cuts that down to 16. 71. And then we'll use our front-facing turbo laser battery. 21, that's a hit. 20 energy damage. This heavy turbo laser didn't roll very well, did it? No, it didn't. Could have rolled a lot better. Alright, 20, that gets cut down to 17. And now what we're going to do is we fired off all the extra weapons that we wanted to. The pilot is going to spend what would normally be 550 feet of movement turning 90 degrees, but because our turning speed exceeds our flying speed, we can treat our turning speed as equal to our flying speed. So all we do is we just turn 90 degrees to port, and then we're just going to unload a broadside into this poor Venator. So for that, we have another missile and another ion battery. So we'll do those first. So we need a dex save. He's already used his threat tracker. He can't use it again. So we need a dex save from the Venator. It'll still be at advantage. So that's a 15. Does that beat the save? Yes, it does. So that's no damage there. I should have said that with the Venator. Oops. Ion battery next. That's a hit. Roll damage. 24 ion. Did I roll damage for the ion battery earlier? Yeah, I did. I might have forgotten to apply it though. 24 ion damage. That's going to cut down to 21. Oh, whoops. Hang on. It was at 54, wasn't it? Minus 21. There we go. And we don't need to do the ionizing save again since it's already ionized. Alright, so is our missile. So we got 3 more heavy turbo laser batteries and 3 regular turbo laser batteries that we can use. So we're gonna do our heavy turbo lasers first. It's a good thing this is gonna be one of the ones with advantage. So that's a hit. 21 energy damage. Cut down to 18. And then we have another hit. That's a crit. Holy cow. Alright, so that's 40. So our damage reduction gets applied once, so it's down to 37. So this is going to break its shield. So 37 minus 15 is 22. Alright, so this gets dropped down to 0. And then the hull takes 22 points of damage. 100, and I think the Venator is actually going to not get a second turn. I think it's just going to straight up die. One more heavy turbo laser. That is a miss, I think. Is that a miss? Nope, that's a hit. These huge ships don't have very high armor class because their dex is so low. Alright, 18. That gets reduced by 3, so it's minus 15. And I don't believe... Yeah, no. Okay. I could have been using these damage control dice, actually. I guess I'll start using it here so the Executor, so the Venator doesn't actually die. So we get 3 turbo laser attacks. That's a hit. 15 points of damage, and then we're gonna have the Venator roll a d6. Subtract it from the roll, only a 1, so 14. Gets reduced by the DR of 3 down to 11. Another turbo laser battery. Almost done with the Executor's turn. That was almost a crit. 23. And the Executor also has other features I could be using too, but frankly I don't need to. This is just a slaughter. Venator is gonna roll that damage control dice again. 3 this time. Okay, so it gets cut down to 20. Damage reduction is gonna push that down to 17. Alright, now we're back to where we should be. So what I was going to say is technically I should be doing the damage application the other way around. So the damage reduction, we'd roll the damage reduction would be applied first. Then we would apply resistance and vulnerability, which doesn't matter here. And then we would account for the active modifier, which would be this die roll here. So the actual order for this would be 23 damage, minus 3 from damage reduction. There's no resistance or vulnerability. Then minus 3 again from the active roll. Alright, one more turbo laser battery attack. And that's another hit. Rolling damage 22. Venator is going to, and I forgot to switch the chat over. Oh well. Roll another one of these. Hey, got a 6 this time. So that's going to be 22 minus 3 minus 6, which puts us at 19, 13. Minus 13. So our Venator is not having a very good time here, unfortunately. And I probably could. Yeah, we can. One thing, we can give ourselves advantage on the roll. When we deal damage to a larger ship with a hit weapon, we can increase the damage by a superior fire power die, which is a D10 at tier 3. So we could have been rolling an extra 14, well, an extra 9d10 rather. Let's see what we could have got. 9d10, just to see. 53. Yeah, that would be a dead Executor. We're gonna keep going, or a dead Venator. We're gonna keep going though, as we might as well at this point. We're in it for the long haul. So back to the Venator's turn. It is going to expend a shield die, or wait, no, it can't do that. It has no more shields. It cannot regenerate its shields anymore. What we are going to do though is make patch actions. So one thing we have is we have the damage control system, which so we can use the patch action as a bonus action 2 times per refit. And patch is not limited, I don't think, in the amount of times you can actually take it per turn. Let's see. Patch. You can attempt to have the ship patch up damage it has taken using one of its hull dice. When you take the patch action, you make a patch check. DC is 10 or half the ship's missing hull points, whichever is higher. On a failure, you have disadvantage on the hull die roll. On a success, you roll the hull die normally. When you make a Constitution patch check, you may instead make an Intelligence Mechanics kit check at disadvantage. Patch action can be taken multiple times on a ship's turn, so that's what we're looking for. Multiple times. So, we're going to make 4 attacks. This time we're just going to use the double turbo laser batteries. There's 4 of these. 1, that's a hit. That's a miss. That's a hit. That's a hit. Okay, so 3 hits. Right? Yep, 3 hits. Three. Okay. We apply the damage reduction of our Executor, which is 8. And we're not gonna roll anything else for this. We don't really need to. So minus 8 from the first strike. And then minus 15 from the second. And then minus 11 from the third. So our Executor is doing very well for itself, which is nice. That this is definitely not a fair fight. The Venator is not really it's not made for ship to ship combat. It's a carrier. So now we're going to start doing some patch actions. So we have spent our 4 max fire actions. We've got 5 more actions we could take on our turn. So we're going to make patch checks. So half the damage that we have taken so far. So we have taken a total of, getting our calculator again. So we take a 78 damage. If we divide that by 2, so the DC for our check is going to be 39. So we're not going to bother making the checks at disadvantage. We're just going to roll the hull dice at disadvantage, because that's basically all we can do. So we're going to roll. Our hull dice are D12s. So we're going to roll 2 D12s, keep the lowest one, and then add 2 to it. Alright, so 10 from that. So we get that many hull dice back, so let's add those in. That's patch check number 1. Our DC is still going to be too high, so again, we'll roll with disadvantage. 2D12, keep the lowest one, plus 2. Only a 4. Subtract 2 from there, because we're expending hull dice when we do this, I believe. Yeah, it uses one of its hull dice. Oof. Only 3 that time. Let's do a check now and see if we're actually within. I'm pretty sure we're not. I'm pretty sure the DC is still going to be above a 30. Yeah, it's still above a 30. Alright, it's another 3. Last one. Oh, there we go. There's a good roll. It's not going to matter, of course. Alright, so that's another 3 hull dice spent. So we're down to 8 hull dice. Probably what the Venator would want to do at this point is just make an emergency jump. Just throw the reactor on, or throw the hyperdrive on, get out of there. Oh, these attack rolls actually would have been made at disadvantage because I didn't actually. Oops. So there's a mistake. So these would have been made at disadvantage because the Venator was still ionized. This one would have still hit. This one was still a miss. This one would have been a miss. And this one still would have hit. So this 23 damage, I'm going to roll back and give the Executor its 11 shield points back. Wait. 23. No, it would have been 15. There we go. Okay. But yeah, what the Venator should probably do is just, you know, just jump out. Like, yeah, it's not going to have any astrogation equations done, so it's going to suffer from something on the mishap table, but you don't want to lose a capital ship like this. Now we go to the Executor's turn. So she is going to get to regenerate shields. So she gets 13 shield points back. Still below our maximum. Spending 1 shield die. And Piet is going to take the direct action again. He's going to try rolling another die again. Let's see if we can get a decent die roll on that. There we go. We got a nat 20. So that nat 20, I'm sure you can guess where that's going to go. That is going to go on one of our heavy turbo laser batteries. So that it is guaranteed to crit. Going back to the Executor. So we're going to start with those. So we're going to make, we're not even going to make the attack roll. We're just going to roll the dice for the attack on the heavy turbo laser battery. So that's going to be rolling 6d12 plus 9. Energy damage to 35. Take 3 off of that, brings us down to 32. Make another heavy turbo laser battery attack with advantage. That's a hit. Damage is 23, gets cut down to 20. And then attack number 3 from the starboard side is not made with advantage, but that is still a hit. 10 meets the AC. Again, we could be using features for this, and that is exactly 22 points of damage. So that is a dead Venator, and that is the end of this example. Hopefully much quicker. Let's take a look. Nope, it still ended up being very long. For crying out loud. Oh well, some bits of this are going to end up getting chopped out anyways, because I did make a couple of mistakes. But there you go. That was some capital ship combat. I hope you found it helpful, maybe informative, and I think I'm going to start working on the creation videos next. See you on the next one.